Woke up. Woke up, got no sleep, eyes closed shut, arms weak, hit the gym, weights won't budge, try eating, I go most days with no lunch, then I try to make a quick dollar but having no luck, dang, pick the phone up, hit my bro up, told him roll through and doom scroll till he shows up, doorbell chime, get inside the Corolla, time to get it poppin', man, hold up, time to flip the switch, make a play, get a hit, check the scoreboard, too sick when the kids spit, get your cold sore, called Jay, told me that he knew what I called for, said the stage ready, say no more. Road trip, the click 5 deep in the 4-door. Fill up the tank quick, pit stop at Walmart. 4 hours south to H-Town, what I'm born for. To show up, show out, and throw up the Longhorns. Front of the line, I don't follow, don't want to. Plain black tee, black kicks, John Bravo. We can talk nice, talk life, talk Bible, but if not, you know hablo. Ladi-dadi, cause no trouble, bother nobody, but probably turn your party into my party, fist up. I'm not leaving until the world saw me and apologize like sorry. I am not sorry. Confident, not cocky. Call shots a lot like I'm John Gotti. Move like a champ because God got me. Don't test the king of the ring, you are not Rocky. No weapon form that's gonna stop me. No chopper, no Glock with no switcher, no shotty. Nobody, not Heckler, not Koch, not Ruger, not Smith, not Wesson, not Sig, not Tommy. No games, the gimmicks ain't for me. Don't come with no tricks or no flips, you ain't hardy. No time to play or explain a lame story. When it's time to get paid, I ain't tardy. Quit playing, the games get old like Atari. Respect, I don't do it for the net, I call it Big Ken. Mess with my kids and my barber gets bad, boy, I call Mike Lowry.
Man, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This your boy, Reckless Talk, with the Reckless Talk Podcast, Reckless Talk Sports Podcast, Reckless Talk Management and Promotions, A1 Music Empire, 1836 Entertainment, Houston City Beat. We are the storytellers of Houston. Man, big shout out to our sponsors, Otto's Root Beer, the greatest root beer on earth, brewed in Huntsville, Texas by Brew Nation. Always support local old school recipe from the 1950s. J-Rag Distribution, the LLC, and of course we have Smash Wagon, greatest burgers on earth, those amazing with some Otto's Root Beer. Man, what's going on, everybody? Hoodlum Nature Records. Man, we have a special episode for you guys today. Man, Operation 1009 Save Our Children. Man, we got some special people in the building. We got Operation 1009. We got Miss Dottie. We got Bone. What's going on, everybody? Man, this is definitely an honor to have every single one of you on here. It's something that must be talked about. Miss Dottie, let's start with you. We're gonna go around and everybody tell everybody who you are and where you're from and what I do. Miss Dottie, let's start with you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always nice to have the opportunity to step into someone's platform and speak about what I love to talk about and trying to help our children and to help parents, and grandparents and those that are responsible for our children to be able to protect them better in this new world we live in where we're all digitally connected and it's not safe for them. So we're here to help.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Tell some people you have an amazing resume, like out this world, man. Let's talk about that. Tell everybody about your background because it's amazing.
Well, thank you. I'm humbled that I'm proud of it too. I started combating trafficking in 2003, and we share Houston. I did a lot of work in Houston, which is where I was born. And I started my human trafficking career in Houston, building the human trafficking task force there that still exists today. And I was funded by the Department of Justice to bring together state and local officials and show them how to carry out this new law that's now 21 years old or 22 years old now. And from there, I went on and worked in California. So I built human trafficking task forces in Los Angeles, San Diego, and Orange counties, California. And then after a few years of that, I came on back to Texas, where I live between Austin and San Antonio. And I work as a consultant to help all kinds of people that want to combat this issue, or most importantly, parents or family members who have loved ones that are caught in trafficking.
And if I'm not mistaken, in California, didn't you train over 6,000 officials?
I did.
That's awesome. That is
and I'm
awesome.
most proud. I trained all 5,000 HPD law enforcement officers in 2004 and 5. So I think that we had about 5,300 law enforcement officers. I trained all of them. So that was fun because back then nobody knew what it was. So it was hard. It was a tough crowd, but they were great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Man, we got Bone in the house. What's going on, brother? Are you there? Bone is not there. Man, we got Operation 1009 in the building, man. If it wasn't for this man right here, man, this wouldn't have got put together. What's going on, brother? Tell everybody a little about yourself. We got an artist activist.
Man, I'm just blessed to be here in the lights of greatness, man. I appreciate your platform. I appreciate Miss Dottie here speaking her voice. Like you just said it, I'm just an artist and an activist. I mean, outside of that, I'm just a hardworking dad. I'm a father to beautiful little girls. I went through some chaos when I was a kid and started talking a few years ago, and it turned into where we are today. And quite frankly, what I figured out along the way is, man, it's just like one match can really light them all, and like Dottie said, back then people didn't know what's going on. She's educating them. It's 22 years later, people still don't know what's going on. That's why I'm trying my best to put it into music and reach the ghettos that I grew up in. Some people ask me why I even try this rap world, because I don't really even listen to music. But this is where I was raised. I represent Waterside and Shreveport, Louisiana, parts of Cooper Road. This world needs a voice that matters, and I don't know anybody doing it. So just fill the gap, really. That's all I know.
Man, and I love it, man. You know what? And I commend you, man. Hats off to you, brother. Because with you being an artist, you risking cancellation, you risking, what I mean, and you don't care. Just like I don't fucking care. You know what I mean? And that's dope to you, brother, for real. It really is, man. A lot of people wanna. A lot of people know the situation. Let's keep it. Everyone knows this is a big problem in America, if not across the world. You know what I mean? But people are scared to speak up because they don't want to get canceled or they got something going on. It might stop, but they got going, man. But fuck that. You know what I mean? So I definitely commend you, my guy, for real, for real.
My guy Brett Daniels in here. I see you, Brett. I love you,
Yo,
man.
big
Says I'm hot.
yes,
Well, he knows I keep my face out of this, man. It does, those that cancel culture is real, and it's come all the way down to death threats at my front door. And thank God for people like Miss Dottie here, who's dealt with the same on a much deeper level than I have, was able to help guide me through some of this. And at the end of the day, man, it is so real. And Brett's kind of serious when he says hide in my face, because to a degree I do, because I'm still raising children in my home, and that in and of itself, it's like I'm just waiting for my youngest to turn 18 so I can get a little bit louder. If you think I'm loud now, just wait till I'm not afraid, right? Because there's one thing I am afraid of, and that's anything happening to my kids. And then I look around and I'll fight for anybody's kid like my own. And then I look at a world that needs to be fighting for their own kids that doesn't even know what their own kids are going through. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, the song we did with Afro Man is bringing awareness to the teachers that keep, molesting and raping our kids in the classrooms. And just in Houston, right after we released the original song, I call it the prelude because nobody's actually seen the music video yet, but just after we released it, there was a Houston teacher that got arrested with her son, who was grooming kids out of the school, finding the ones that were vulnerable, and was literally trafficking them right out of the school. And that's in Houston. It's incredible. It's
sadly,
so
to chime in on that, Joel, we did a film with MSNBC years ago, and we, as a team, posed and brought victims into the hotel as if we were going to buy them, and of course we didn't. We asked them if they needed help, and there were kids in high school. They were 18. Those traffickers like that 18-year-old that just turned 18, and there were several of them, and they're going to school and being trafficked in Houston. We filmed all over Houston, and we got the same results. We filmed right next to the Four Seasons, as well as over in some of the more marginalized areas, and also in some of the upper middle income areas. The same thing happened. So really important to, counter or to support what he's saying. That teacher making the news was just something we know. What we don't know is all the other ones just like that.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna say this person's name because I don't want to get them in trouble because they work in the school system. A lot of people don't know a lot of things that go on in the school, like say whatever we see in the news, it's 10 times worse because the school pays off these news outlets not to put their business out there. So like you said, what's really going on and how much more is it really happening? Especially in Houston. Houston is like top 3 cities in the United States known for trafficking. You know what I mean?
I tell you, I worked there to combat trafficking in 2004 and 5, and I say it to this day, and I go ahead, challenge me. Houston, the organization of people that keep it running, want, support, and protect human trafficking. And I dare you to prove me wrong. But I fought so many battles that didn't need to be battles. And then 20 years later, I know more than I did back in 2004 and 5. Houston thrives on this, and we need to just make it not acceptable.
That's correct.
I agree.
Definitely. I want to bring up something like, all right, so before I met Miss Dottie here, I rally. I try to rally every weekend. I haven't been able to these last few months, but for the last several years, I go out to the road every Saturday with my signs up, and I rally for a couple hours for the kids. And one of these rallies, I'm raising awareness to all kinds of crazy things, like the Amber Alert system in our phone. The Amber Alert system in our phone is supposed to be dedicated to bringing awareness and setting up the red flag to help bring these kids home in these situations. Well, one thing most people aren't aware of is that January 29th in 2010, a lady named Laura Gaylor, who was the vice president of marketing for a company called AlertSense. AlertSense is the company that holds the contract with the federal government that produces the system called Amber Alert. So essentially, she's the marketing director of Amber Alert. She was arrested January 29, 2010 in Haiti. She was captured with 30 children that she was claiming their parents were dead, and she was trying to get them out of the country. There's no telling how many kids she got beforehand. What I found the most interesting is that when I met Dottie, I literally tried to tell her about this case, and she finished my sentence for me. Dottie was the one that originally received the phone call from the parents in Haiti that were talking about these people in power are taking our kids. And she was the one that called the Haitian authority and bypassed the consulate there, and actually was the one that led to the arrest of her. And that's Dottie here we're talking to today. And most people have no idea that's going on. You know what I mean? And this is our Amber Alert system, still in our phone today. Still in our phone today.
Ms. Dottie, what do you think we can do as the people, because we know the government's not doing nothing about this. So what can we do to try to put a stop to it? You know what I mean? What can we do for our part?
Well, first of all, what everyone can do, and I urge them to do, is listen to the Operation 1009 song, Amber Alert. It's every lyric of truth in there that you need to understand why we're asking you to do things, why you should care. And that song is so beautiful and so chilling. I still get chills years later every time I hear it. And so everyone can do that. So I ask you, Google up Amber Alert, Operation 1009, and listen to that song and know that it's not fiction. The second thing I ask you to do is realize as adults, all children are our responsibility, the same as our own. Joel said he'll fight for anyone's kid. The idea that our kids are safe is fictitious. Our kids are targeted hundreds of ways, and it's not if they're going to be targeted, just how many times. And I don't think most parents understand when we connected our kids to these smartphones and devices that are connected to the internet, we connected them to every predator in the world. And I think if parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers could just hear that and let it sink into their brain, that those children they're responsible for, that they are the stewards of their lives, are connected directly by audio, visual, and even in person, because the internet turns to in person very quickly. Mm-hmm. When you can let that sink into your brain and really absorb it, then you'll become effective. And we also have some other things you should know, but I asked those two things to get the ball started.
I love it. I love it. Let's get with Bone. Hey, Bone, are you there? Bone, if you're there, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you if you're speaking. Let's get to the comments real quick. We got Dusty. He said, keep going. They make matters out of truth. Speakers these days don't stop the beat. Marley too. And then he said, Reckless, my respect for you guys every day. My respect for you grows every day. This is what I'm talking about. The music is the only the start. We the people are the change. We are the future. Keep pushing, bro. You're truly leading people to water. God bless you. Dude, true. Man, I appreciate that, brother. For real. I really do.
Hey, NK of Surviving Andre says she is in the waiting room backstage right now.
I don't see.
While I was looking at that, just shout out to my brother Bone the Mac. If y'all can't hear him right now, we'll figure out technical difficulties. But Bone is a major supporting infrastructure behind all this when it comes to me on a very personal, individual level. You know, without Bone, there wouldn't be any of this Operation 1009 in front of everybody. You know, he met me. I had given up on writing music. I was just doing management in the industry, and all I cared about for my music was for me. And when he heard some of what I was working on, he demanded that the public get to hear this. Him and a guy named Jason Frank. They made sure that that this guy, I know Jay, I love Jason Frank. They made sure that this music got all the way out, and it did. It changed my entire life. And Bonus sat behind me, he sat in front of me, he sat beside me, he's pushed me, he's pulled me, he's dragged me. I mean, there's been times I just would rather focus on my little girls and go to work and not have to think about nothing. But at the end of the day, this has been such a healing adventure, and Bone has been right there with me through all of this. So, you know, I want to give him a serious shout out. And then that little purple logo with that strong arm lady, that's NK right there. That's NK Williams Hayes. She is an amazing superhuman. She's a philanthropist. She's a mental health specialist, and ultimately she wants to change the world. And she invested a lot into thinking that she was supporting me, literally rescuing kids, because of a man named Andre Van, who takes what we're doing here, sensationalize it like a lot of people do, and then they grift off of it. I'm serious. So she represents that side of the movement, and there are people out there trying to take advantage of people. And she represents it at the strength that we need to overcome that as well. So everybody, welcome NK. I love you.
NK, welcome to the show. It's
Thank
definitely an honor
you.
having you on here, doing some research on you. You have quite a resume. Also, go ahead and
Thank
tell people who
you.
you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your resume and what you do.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me come and speak on behalf of Surviving Andre. My name's NK. I am a psych nurse practitioner. I live in Richmond, Virginia, and I have a passion for taking care of kids. My grandmother, God bless her, she's 100 years old next month in October, and she has rescued, fostered, and adopted over 300 children since 1980. 40 of them live with her right now, and uh, basically that's all we know, to save children. So long story short, in 2021, my eyes opened to the evil on child trafficking in America. Now, mind you, I've been in America 27 years. I have 4 lovely children, and I just came here to live the American dream. So imagine how I felt to figure out the truth that they're actually trafficking, hurting children, and all kinds of things. And we have predators everywhere. And so I said I was going to help one way or the other. I had this passion in me. And I find Joel and Operation 1009. And I said, oh my God, this is exactly where I need to be. So I'm listening to Joel, and his stories were just amazing. And also hearing what he went through as a child. And so, unfortunately, he had this friend of his who claimed to be a friend who had infiltrated the movement called Andre Van, Geppetto Jackson. And so Geppetto Jackson basically used Joel's um, foundation and basically all the people that loved Joel and started grifting on all of us. Needless to say, 6 months after I met Andre Van, I was scammed of $400,000. And I thought I was actually rescuing children at the time. Andre had a brief love relationship with Megan Walsh. Maybe you guys know her from, basically her dad is John Walsh, and he's the guy who does what's the America's Most Wanted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he was in a brief relationship with Megan. They had a child, but at the time, John Walsh was trying to take Megan's children from her, and so eventually he did take her children. But Andre used this child, the child he had with Megan, to grift hundreds, almost we think in the millions of dollars from good patriots who just love children, who want to just make a change. And he infiltrated a few movements. He scammed a lot of people who loved Michael Jackson because he claims he's Jermaine Jackson's son. It was fake. And so, needless to say, long story short, because I thought I was saving Megan's children, he used that to take all the money me and my family had. But he continued to steal from women and children. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and so what we are trying to do with Joel and Bone, and a lot of other people is try to put him back in jail. He's on 25 years of probation. So we are trying to get him right back in jail because he has stolen from mothers, from children. He has promised children to be their fathers. He has made mothers pawn their children's computers, all kinds of things. And ultimately, we can't let this continue to happen.
I agree. So you said you lost $400,000. What advice would you give to people out there that want to help, but not sure which organization to help with or team up with? What advice would you give for that?
First things first, always listen to your intuition. You know, God is looking for helpers all over, but you can also fall victim to the predators out there. And Andre Van Geppetto Jackson is an absolute predator. First things first, find out the source. Find out, ask questions, meet people, ask more questions. If you have any doubts in your guts, it's much better you don't do it. And I say, do it yourself. Don't give your money to anyone to do it for you. We need helpers all over. I live in Richmond. Start your own movement. I mean, go to the circle like Joel does. Do what Dottie does. Do it yourself. Join somewhere physically, and that way you know the people and what you're investing in for humanity. So I would say, if I had to look back, I would have been much more careful, even though I give myself grace and forgiveness, because Andre used life events, true life events. Yes, the children were being taken, all that, but he capitalized on it. He stole the money and used it for himself. So be careful out there, guys.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that advice. Miss Dottie, this is a two-part question for you. How did you get your start doing this? And when you started, did you ever imagine in 2005 that you would lead the largest human sex trafficking in the United States?
Well, those are both good questions that I love to
Sex
talk
trafficking
about.
rescue. I'm sorry, rescue, not sexual rescue.
Yeah, I started in 2003 when I was going to I went back to college after my kids got into high school, and there was a speaker from the State Department that talked about the new law that was passed in 2002 on human trafficking. And I knew in that moment that was exactly what I would do with I was getting my master's degree in international relations. And so I thought, oh, I'll go outside the US and I'll help people. Well, I never had to leave the US. It was all right here. And I started that day. I actually started that day while in college after hearing that speaker. Because as a student, I had the freedom of my day to do what I wanted, where all the other elected officials and appointed officials, there was no one tasked to do human trafficking. So I developed a coalition, which led to my first job, and on and on and on. So I started immediately doing what I wanted to do. And so from 2003 to 2005, I had gotten a job that was funded by the Department of Justice in Houston, and I triggered the largest rescue in U.S. history of traffic victims at that time. Maybe still, I don't know, but at least at that time. So there was a cantina operating in Houston that had been there for 20 years. It had been operating uninterrupted for literally decades. And from the victims, we understood they got a new truckload, their words, truckload of women every 2 weeks. And
Wow.
so I can't imagine how many victims there were. When law enforcement stepped in and stopped it, there were 120 victims identified from 2 organizations. So that was the largest rescue ever. And I came back years later, about 5 years later, and we identified many more victims that were not there identified on that initial day that was counted. So needless to say, that was a good day.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
was
Yes,
very
ma'am.
good.
Yes, it was.
And do you with child trafficking? Do you encounter more these kids being Americans or foreigners?
Well, sadly, both. It depends on where I've got my foot placed. So I did do immigration law for 6 years, and of course, in there I saw so many unaccompanied minors that actually get placed with traffickers.
Oh, wow.
Like they get into this system that's supposed to protect them, and it doesn't often. Then right now, what I'm screaming for parents to understand is U.S. citizen victims are everywhere. I spoke to a mother yesterday whose daughter is in the music industry and is being, what I believe is going to result in her being trafficked. She's in a coercive, abusive, exploitive situation. And I'm like, you need to hear me, because it's going to go where you don't know where she is really quickly. And so parents don't identify that as trafficking. They just think she has a stupid boyfriend. But that's not what it is. It's much more organized, much more of a system of brainwashing, isolation, and coercion than a parent could ever imagine. So they're behind the ball. By the time they figure it out, it's too late. So now I'm really focused on U.S. citizens, where many years ago I was focused on immigrants. So I'm seeing just as many either place. It's where you put your effort. What I really think we need to leave your listeners with is it hides in many disguises. It looks like something that's just a little odd, chaotic. The targeted victim is just acting weird. But if you pull back the layers, you'll see the same patterns over and over of isolation, chaos, exploitation, anger, but you don't know why, and someone controlling the situation. So that's what it really looks like. And I've had victims that were so wealthy, their parents sent a private jet to pick them up. And I've also had everything in between that and homeless children. It doesn't discriminate in any way. Age, wealth, intelligence, none of that matters. They'll exploit anybody. Disabled, minor, adult, male, female, babies. I rescued a baby that was literally 4 weeks old, which I didn't know how I was going to find that kid. I bet we did.
That's wild. That's wild. Hey, Joe, you still there, brother?
Absolutely, I'm here. Yeah. Bone just texted me right in the middle of all this, saying he was trying to log in too. I sent a text into the chat just now. God bless you, Dottie. Every time I listen to you, I hear another miraculous. I could sit with you for 20 years and talk about this, man. You don't even know. God bless me when He sent her to me. This is, for me, it's a miracle thing, like for real. And I just listen, and I'm blessed to be in the likeness of someone like herself. I have to say that because, for a long time I was quiet. I went through some chaos in my own life, and I spent 15 years in silence. And once I started speaking up, everything changed. And when Dottie showed up, she really was kind of that confirmation that the louder I get, the more I heal. And the more I heal, the more other people get a chance to heal. And that's just like, I don't know, that's a beautiful thing to me. And I don't think I would have ever really gotten that had someone like her been able to come sit with me, because I'm too crazy, right? I will literally take somebody that's probably got good intention, and like my gut says no, because I've been through some crazy shit, and I'll walk away from her, or I'll stop trusting things. And she's been there to help level me through that quite a bit, actually. When I go to stop trusting all politics and everybody in the world is all against this, she's like, all right, well, there's some good ones, here, check out the good ones. and it helps, man. We need that, I'm just saying. But
well, ditto for me, Joel. Our happy times are sitting out on that square with our flags by the courthouse. Just have people walk and we wave, and that we were talking about. That's our church. Some weeks that's our church.
It is.
That's real. I was going to actually ask you guys. This is a 2-part question, Joe. How did you and Dottie meet, and how did Operation 1009 come about, and how did you come up with the name?
Okay, so I'll answer the first one because it's a lot easier to keep up with. Me and Dottie met standing out on the circle, the square, whatever you want to call it, right across from the courthouse in New Braunfels here. I started going out there every weekend on Saturday from 11 to 1 back in 2020. And I did this literally every Saturday. And she was one of the people that showed up just to stop and see what was going on. And ultimately that turned into her bringing her and her family and friends, and even the trafficking rescue victim, Tyranny, God bless and rest her soul. I got to stand with a young lady she even saved. and we built a relationship out there. Like I really built a relationship with her out there, holding up signs for the kids in the public, watching cars go by and honk and wave at us. Every now and then you get somebody with some crazy looking eye, but for the most part, lots of love. And the 1009 thing is going to be a little harder to keep up with, right? Because it's full of conspiracies and you're going to have to read into a lot of things to truly keep up with what I'm about to say. First of all, I was on my deathbed. It was like 2018, 2019. I was at the hospital, been in there for like 2 or 3 days, and I'm watching the History Channel. And you have to understand, I'm already somebody that understands they're lying to us. The word, I'm serious. It's called his story because it's his story, not ours, right? Etymology is very important, the basis of words. Well, I already knew that, World War I, II, it's all crock of nonsense when you look back at it. And this whole concept of the Holocaust wasn't even created till years after the war was over. And it was all based on Operation 1005. And History Channel was talking about this. They were talking about Operation 1005 being the last operation of that war to dig up the bodies of the Holocaust, to burn them, so to get rid of them, so to never have evidence of the Holocaust. However, what supposedly happened during that, they got busted, and that's how everybody discovered the Holocaust, because without that, nobody would have known. So essentially during this, it was all nonsense. Well, while I'm learning this, I'm paying attention to this. Now you go dig up the other story and it tells it a little bit differently, but like I said, you'll have to keep up. And for me, when I was hearing it, I thought I was hearing 1009. I was out of it. My ears were fuzzy. I could barely hear. I was plugged into machines, but my brain was taking this information in. So when I got to it and I was like, finally, okay, and I started digging because I always want to learn. And I finally figured out that it was 1005 and how they've twisted up history and they've used that moment to create the Ashkenazi bloodline of Jews, which is the Rothschilds that run our country, which is essentially just a business that belongs to them. Like we're not even really a country over here. There's a reason we call them presidents. It's because we still have CEOs, CFOs, and all these other marketing managers that nobody gets to select. We think we get to select people, but we really just pick the pre-selected. That's why we call it an election, and that's why we take people to polls. You got to understand again how I see this country and how I see the world we live in. It's a plantation. We're still on the plantation. A big part of what I want to do is get us off this plantation. So when I realized that, I was like, yo, I'm going to take it for myself. This is going to be 1009. And as soon as I started working with it, this was just a concept. This was something I wasn't actually going to put all the way out. This was just a thought process. And as soon as I kind of thought it through, the immediate understanding of 1 means us, 9 means them, and 00 is infinity. It's my way of saying we are one. However, we're not all the same. And we don't see things the same. And at the end of the day, I'm here for the kids. I don't care what your political constructs are. I don't care what you believe in history. None of that means anything to me about you and your life. What does mean something to me is, will you stop in a moment's notice and fight for that kid like he's your own? And are you the kind of person to fight for a kid? Because at the end of the day, if you're not, you're a 9. You're not one of us. They are not like us. At the end of the day, when Kendrick hit that, I was like, oh my goodness, bro. I had already written a report on Drake being a pedophile. It just went re-viral again. I was like, there we go. Right. So when I look at it all, it just kind of like, hey, bam. I don't know. It's God's way of saying, here's a pretty little accident on a way out, and don't give up. By the way, here's a thought. And then Jason Frank hears the song Amber Alert, brings me Sarah Jackson, the amazing singer who we didn't even know was going to do it that way. It was so incredible how it all fell together. And then Bones in the background, once he hears, like, we got to put this stuff out. We got to do this. We got to stand behind this. We got to get it out. You're saying the shit that needs to be said. You're saying all the things. And I'm like, man, I appreciate that. This is how people get hurt. And he was like, well, and I'm like, well, fuck it. You know what I mean? Here we are today. You know what I mean? Do what we got to do. And then you were asking about the Afro Man tour. That was my first time really standing on stage. You know, the only time I had performed publicly before that, the news showed up. The Trans Lives Matter people showed up. Everybody fucking rallied against me. They put me on the news and talked major shit. It was crazy. So this was different. It was like you said, like being in Hollywood over there working with them, where everybody's just well received and loves what you did and is hanging out with you for the rest of the night. And that's how it was at Afro Man. It was like, at the end of it, everybody's coming up to me, wanting to take pictures, find out where the music at, wants to know where all the lyrics are, trying to learn and talk and educate themselves. And it was It was very humbling. It was also kind of scary because I had to stand up there and do that. You know, it's like Brad said now, I keep my face out of this for a reason. I got to preserve myself for a little bit, right? You know, because I talk a lot of shit about a lot of people. You know, that's like if somebody shoots me, pick an enemy. Just pick one. That song Amber Alert, she's talking about got 20 names in it. You know what I mean? Like, it gets, yeah.
Man, I'm glad you mentioned the Afro Man tour, man. You know one thing I loved about that tour for you? By the time you got off that tour, every artist on that tour was wearing a Save Our Children t-shirt. Like,
man, that was so humbling. That was so humbling. And shout out to my guy, Bank Boy Money Matt, up there, Springfield, Missouri. That's Afro Man's newest artist. You know, that was another God moment. We met a man named Mosh Jelton. That's our radio guy over there in Tampa Bay. And we went over there to meet him. We went to go meet the band Trapped. And we accidentally ran into Afro Man. And that's a shout out to guy Joe Hops of Tranquil, a reggae guy, beautiful guitar player. And ultimately, the guy that led us to Afro Man shut the door in our face after he looked at my Facebook and didn't like the fact that I was surrounded by people that supported Trump. I'm not into politics. I care who you support. Well, I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. If you support Joe Biden, I'm going to have an issue with you supporting Mr. Sniffy. I'm not that fucking dude sniffs kids, and it needs to be addressed. Fuck that. Excuse my, real shit. These people stop sniffing kids. That's a real problem. That's a real sign. Talking about kids running their hands up his legs and the roaches and comparing them. He was talking about kids, comparing kids to roaches, and talking about black kids, nonetheless, running their hands up his legs in the water. It was sick. Anyways.
No, I'm glad you said that, man. I'm glad you brought that up because the bad thing about this and the sad thing about this, not only is it in our faces, but it's in our faces with elected officials, with in the music industry. You know, like on TV, it's really, really, you know what I mean?
That's like the part. Yeah, it's like right now. Just last night they arrested P. Diddy, you know, and he's running in there, and it's like guess who's next is going to be Vince McMahon. You know what I mean? These people are literally tied in. But you know, and this is where I got to give Dottie credit, right? Dottie will tell you, she's like, look, I've been working with the numbers for a long time. She's worked with a lot of kids. She's brought a lot of them home. She's right now selling trailers and doing other things to keep the money coming in because numbers are a little low when it comes to trafficking. And a lot of that happened because of a war that Donald Trump did sign into place December 21st, 2017. And even though I am at wit's end with this guy because he tried to touch our guns, he banned our bump stocks, says he wants to take away our guns, you know, and nobody wants to hear what I got to say about all that. I support guns first. I don't care about a wall. Give me my guns. I don't need a wall. Alamo proved that shit. Anyways, but Dottie makes a fact that you cannot deny that war on human trafficking took out El Chapo, it took out Weinstein, it took out all these major people, and the dominoes are still falling. The dominoes are still falling. At the end of the day, the one thing that bothers me the most, though, is these highly elected officials. In that war, it was supposed to be any money that, like wealth that these people like Ghislaine Maxwell had, right? She's a billionaire. The money she owns, all the assets, the equity, she's a convicted child trafficker. That money's supposed to be liquidated and given back to the U.S. Treasury to start paying off our debts as a U.S. citizens. That was written in the bill. However, she has not lost any money. Down here where I live in Guadalupe County, there's a man named Nissan Joaquin Garcia. He leads what's called the La Luz del Mundo Church. He was arrested before Epstein with 3 women groomers and 5 children that had all spoken up. He has over 5 million people that think he's related to Jesus. They literally wake up every Sunday and go worship in his churches across the world. He was trafficking children from church to church. This dude's right now just took a 16-year plea deal for agreeing that he raped 3 of those little girls. He gets to come home to his 500-acre private Silver Wolf ranch here in town that did not get liquidated. The people are still there. The cult is still existing all around us. And I can introduce you to the judge who tells you he can't stop it. In the state of Texas, legally, you can marry off a 14-year-old as long as the parents sign off on it. It's disgusting.
In Ohio, not to cut you off, and in Ohio, they just passed a law where you could marry your family members.
I believe it. I believe it. Well, here's the thing: when you look at people like
there's unique laws too that actually, if you're related, they give you less of a penalty. for incest. I didn't believe it till I read it, and I'm like, whoa.
It's disgusting. Yeah. Well, look at the Rothschilds and look at the Queen of England. Look at they all inbreed. That's what they do. As long as it's a first cousin, they're cool. And they've been doing it for centuries, right? Well, one thing I'll tell you is one thing I'll tell you is the Constitution wasn't written for you and me. It was written for them. It was for their freedom to do whatever they want to us. It was for their right to do whatever they care, so they can trample on us. But they sell it to us like it's about us, but it's not. If it was about us, then Ali Sofan, FBI agent, who they say could have prevented 9/11, would have never invaded our rights, helped push the Patriot Act, ironically, which stole all our rights to privacy, and his organization definitely wouldn't have put out a report on me the day after they arrested FBI agent David Harris for raping kids in the same group home that I got raped in, and that's the truth. The next day, I literally told my people I felt vindicated, woke up the next morning, and everybody that supported and worked with what we were working on got all their Facebooks erased, got all their accounts locked down, got all their IPs blocked. I'm talking about, like over 30 people in one day. You can't even type my website, used to be operation1009.com. Still, you can't type that into Facebook anywhere. Not in a message, not on your platform, not in the comments. You will get a ban. Why would they do that?
That's fact. I've seen that firsthand when I was promoting this episode. I even sent him a screenshot.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag Operation 1009. They took it off as spam. They said it was spam. They didn't even give you a chance. Usually Facebook will give you a chance to display it or give you an opportunity to take it down or keep it up. They straight took it down within seconds.
Immediately, without question.
Well, on that note of what he's been saying, you hear all these people, even, as you said, to yesterday and today, P. Diddy and Weinstein and Nexium and Allison Mack and Peter Nygaard and on and on and on. These people arrested for sex trafficking, actually convicted, but who did they traffic to? Did all these people just sell them to themselves? Because they didn't. And so I'm hopeful for the day when we know who provided the funds, the incentive, the monetary lure, not just for the people we know in the news, but everybody. I can't tell you how many cases I've worked in this 21 years and how many arrests have resulted. That's not my goal. My organization is Trafficking Victim Rescue Central. That's what we do. That's what we do. We help anyone who needs help that has a loved one trafficked. But in the result of that, we get information I share, and if someone happens to get arrested, well, they probably earned it. But so almost never do we see who bought the victims, the children, the commercial sex, the stripping, porn, and prostitution. All those are commercial sex. If you're buying somebody for sex, they don't want to have sex with you, so it's rape. Money is the coercion, and usually they don't get it anyway. But if we cut that off, then the bad guys will go do something else. There'll still be forced labor, there'll still be other crimes. But the least we could do, the very least we could do as a society, is stop buying sex. And it's marketed mainly to men. It's not really marketed so much to women. So I challenge women and men out there. Men, man up, stop buying sex. Women, woman up. Don't let it happen in your household. Your fathers, brothers, sons, husbands, boyfriends. There was research done where they couldn't find 100 men that hadn't bought stripping, porn, or prostitution. Women, you need to know that. And then stand up accordingly. Stop it. Whatever you got to do, make it stop in your circle. And then us guys here, MK, Joel, me, we can go garden, raise our kids, have some fun. Absolutely. We don't have to live with this pain of other people. That I can't put words to how bad it is for a family when this happens to someone they love.
It's sad. I'm going to add to what you're saying, Dottie. I have been a psych registered nurse for 17 years, but most importantly, I have been a psych nurse practitioner for 2 years. And I promise you, I couldn't believe how common it is for family members to sexually take advantage of children. It is unbelievable. It has taken out, if I wasn't strong, the human part of me would have been gone. I didn't know it happened. It happened in America. I didn't know it happened so much. And it's almost like every other person that walks into my office is telling me a story about someone taking advantage of them in their own family. So let's stop in the family. The family structure was meant to protect the children. If the children are not safe in the family, then what do you think is going to happen when they go out there in the world? So it starts with the family, the men, the women, older cousins, older brothers, sisters, whatever. Please, children are not an object of sexuality or fantasy. They
Thank
are
you.
the future of the world. And I will not leave America the way it is and die to leave for my 4 children or anyone's children to go through this. I wouldn't. So
Amen.
thank you guys so much. Dottie, you're an angel. Every single one of us that is speaking, once you speak your truth, that is the beginning, almost half of the journey. Just opening up to speak up. That's it. And
Amen.
then you find your way. Somehow divinely you'll find your way to do what you were called to do. And I can tell you, every single person that's trafficked, every single person that's taken advantage of children, of anybody, women, it doesn't matter, men, um the time has come where people are going to be held accountable because we are not going to take this anymore.
Amen to that. Amen to that. You know what I found crazy and just out this world? A child predator, whether you rape a kid, sexual assault, whatever you want to call it, we get less time in prison than someone that's selling weed.
Exactly. Now
Where does
there's
that make
something
sense?
wrong with that picture.
And if they exchanged money for raping that child, even less.
Really?
Oh my God.
Think about it.
That's crazy. That's
There
is
are laws that make them as culpable legally, criminally, and civilly as everyone involved. But where do you see the buyers being overwhelmingly prosecuted? They passed a law 2 years ago in Texas where soliciting sex is now a felony. And I've seen some stings that way. But when you look at the actual trafficking victim law and the destruction that causes commercial sex, I'm not seeing the buyers overwhelmingly prosecuted. Now, part of it is because it's anonymous. It's hard to find them.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the point. That's why wives and girlfriends need to understand it's anonymous.
And you know
Um,
what's crazy? Those buyers are in our face. Let's
Right
talk
in our
about
face.
let's talk about Pizzagate
Yeah.
yeah,
in
Yeah.
Hollywood. Those buyers are right there in our face. That's the sad thing about it. It's like this isn't a secret in Hollywood, in the music industry. It's well known, and it's like no one does nothing about it.
Well, they make us the essential. They make it like they make us respect them and honor them and want to be them. And then they brainwash our children to social media. It's absolutely, it is
Mhm.
organized. It's not the way we think, oh, it just happens here and there. No, it's organized. And our children are their targets.
Yep.
there's research done that said if the men they questioned, they focused on men buyers. If their name were made public and they were to face as little as 3 days in jail, they would stop buying sex.
Oh,
And the victims get more time in jail than that just by
yeah.
when they're victimized, they're missed off and set up to be arrested. So we need to flip that because honestly, we can stop it. If this is not socially acceptable anymore, it will stop.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you look at TV, movies, even music, what's ZZ Top known for? What's their famous song? Think about it. What is it called? LaGrange.
I'm not sure.
LaGrange, ZZ Top's big hit is about the best little whorehouse in Texas.
Wow.
It's about buying sex.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to the lyrics now. It
No.
makes it acceptable, cool, okay.
Yeah.
And that's how it's done. Like you said, like with these artists, everybody looks up to them, and it's the thing. It's cool. You know what I mean? When in realization, it's like, nah, this ain't cool. Like
Try to watch a movie or TV series without the gratuitous strip club scene. I'm down to watching Food Channel. I can't find a place I can sit and relax without them throwing that in our face, even when it's
Yeah.
not part of the story.
Yeah, it's all programming, and then they so basically they start showing it to you in their movies, so it desensitizes you. So basically, oh, it's okay. It's just, oh no, it's not okay. Nothing is okay. It wasn't
And then
okay
now,
many years ago.
now it's in kid movies and kid TV shows.
Yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean? Look at Disney.
yes.
Don't get me started.
Oh
I
Lord.
worked in Orange County where Disneyland is. It's like putting out one of those bug lights for pedophiles.
Wow.
And I was in trouble all the time for trying to talk about what I do from the job I was hired to do.
Oh wow.
I eventually got fired, and so what? I wasn't going to shut up. Much like Joel. That's why we get along.
Yeah.
And that's
Man,
the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing. Like, you speak the truth, and you the crazy one.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
spread awareness, and you the crazy one.
You're at least in trouble.
Yeah, like
Well, the thing is,
that's
you
the thing.
just
Even my own look.
yeah.
Even my own
Now you
audience
just
of
have to
people that
be
I call
ready
my
to be
family.
cool.
hold
Being
on, one at a
crazy
time.
is
One at a
Hey, well,
cool
look.
now.
Sorry.
NK, go ahead, NK.
No, I said being crazy is cool now. I don't mind anyone calling me crazy. Wearing my tinfoil hat, I will wear it with all pride. And you know what? I don't care. Now
Yeah,
I say to people, I don't give a you know what. I'm gonna speak my truth.
facts.
I
Amen.
say crazy
Amen.
people
Well,
buy
that's the
sex.
thing is,
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's it. Well, that's the thing is, like, they talk about the desensitization, and like, even my family online, which y'all would call the fans and the followers, is I upset them sometimes too. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop speaking truths. Like, for instance, Kid Rock. Y'all have heard of Kid Rock. A lot of people that support Trump support Kid Rock, but fail to realize that this guy wrote a song back in 2000 for a kids movie called Osmosis Jones. And the song is called Cool Daddy Cool. And the lyrics inside the song literally say, young ladies, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory. I say that's mandatory. Those are his lyrics that he wrote for a children's movie when he was over 30 years old. Right? At the end of the day, people can so quickly forget these things and then go back to idolize them because politics tells them it's okay. And then you have other movements and facets of what I call controlled opposition that have otherwise educated people that know these facts and still look at these people like, no, they're part of some behind the scene movement that's going to save the day and stop it all from happening by contributing to it somehow. I don't understand their logic, quite frankly. It's hard for me to grasp the concept that there's already somebody that saved the day when this is still happening in front of us. But it's an uncomfortable, very unfortunate reality that we all have to face. And that's why I'm really grateful that the two ladies that you have here are probably two of the highest ladies I hold in esteem, and I'm really grateful to have y'all both here at the same time. By the way, God bless y'all for that.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Thank you.
introducing each other.
Thank you.
And it's crazy. It's been in our eyes. They've been thrown in our faces for decades. Look at
Decades.
Elvis. Look at Elvis. Married his wife when she was 14. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
And I wish Bone was in here. That's Bone's lyrics right there in our song radio. It's like they let Elvis shake his pelvis, but his wife was only 14. Jerry Lee Lewis a little worse, but it's the same thing. Those are Bone's lyrics. You know what I mean? And God bless Bone. That's the brother right there.
Yeah.
It's so serious what you're saying, and it's been going on for so long, so long.
I made
and
a post a few
accepted
years ago on Facebook, and
accepted for so
it was
long.
about that. It was about Elvis and marrying his underage wife, and somebody really had the nerve to comment. Well, back then it was different. Back in those times, how? And I was still a kid. Still a kid.
It's
How was
never
that
been
different?
different.
Like it's
Think of
ridiculous.
Grimm's
Correct.
fairy tales.
I
What are
wonder.
they telling us? The Grimm's fairy tales have told us what we know now. They were warnings to the children. It's never been different. It was about the power and elite. It was about even darker things than we've talked about tonight. It's not new.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is, and we definitely need more people to stand up. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's too many people know what's going on that just goes on about their everyday life. Um, we all got kids. Even if I didn't have kids, I would feel strongly about this. You know what I mean? When I first met Joe, the first time we talked about this, I don't even know how we became friends on Facebook. Honestly, probably through the music industry. But I told him, I was like, bro, I love your post, but I love what you stand for. You know what I mean? I told him, I said, we got to do an interview. We have to. Then he started mentioning you guys. I'm like, yo, let's do this. It has to be out there. I said, I'm not worried about cancellation. I'm not worried about none of that. You know what I mean?
None of
This is
that.
like, man, I could just only imagine, man. Like, I can't imagine like if it was my kids. You know what I mean? I don't.
You can't. It's the worst hell a parent can ever go through that cares about their child. There's some parents that sell them, absolutely, but there's more parents also that care about their kid, and their kid is gone, and they might even be in the same room with them, and they can't find them. Their brain is gone, and they don't come back the same. They don't come back the child that you remember. You
Well,
can't do this to kids. It's irreparable. They don't get. You can't.
I'm glad you just said that. NK, with your background in psychology, what does that do to these
Um,
victims?
Oh, it's horrible. It's a generational trauma. So even though the kid comes back, survives somehow, emotionally they're wrecked, and then they pass this on to their children because they're depressed, fearful, anger. Some of them going to drugs, alcohol. It's horrible. So we have long lasting effects of sex. It's just not sex trafficking. You basically, some people actually have gone to a point where they go through sexual trauma and their frontal lobe shuts down, so they become psychopaths. Now it doesn't happen all the time, but that's just one way the brain responds to that kind of trauma, so they start hurting other people. I truly suspect, now I'm not sure, but in his own words, Andre has said to people that he was sexually raped as a child by a man and a woman. He tells a lot of lies, but I almost want to believe that his frontal lobe shut down somehow and he became a monster. If something happened, because he does not have any respect for human life, especially children. So it's horrible. It's horrible. And therapy, support, help can always get them to some point, but most the government doesn't give those services because they actually want these people to be destroyed. Yeah. When they destroy you, you can't fight back, and that's what they want. And then you abuse your own children, and their children abuse their own children. It's horrible. It's horrible.
We're gonna get to this comment right quick. This is actually my wife. She's a former high school principal. She said we saved a student from trafficking earlier this year, and she later had to be institutionalized because
Yes,
she could not function without the structures that her traffickers set in place for her. She was totally reprogrammed and brainwashed.
absolutely. Your wife
Yeah.
is telling the truth. Yeah, they'll go from hospital to hospital. It's she's telling the truth. Exactly what happens.
And
Yeah.
some of them die due to the trauma. The one Joel mentioned, she did die. That met with us on the square that I had helped rescue. I've had
They
probably 4
commit
cases I've
suicide.
worked
They
on where
commit
they die after rescue.
Yeah, they commit suicide or die from drugs and alcohol.
That's sad. That's real sad.
Yeah, and a lot of them thrive. I don't want to leave it hopeless, but I'm just saying, why? Why do we even entertain that this could happen in the United States? And so that's what we're all saying. Stop it.
It
Stop it.
shouldn't even happen to one child. That's the truth. We won't
Yeah.
stop till it
No.
doesn't happen to any children. Don't deserve this. And like Dottie says, the reason why this is so common in our society is because there are laws that are protecting these predators, and we will expose them. We will. It's not gonna happen anymore.
Well, and I just add to that, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act is beautiful, well written, works every time. We need to demand it being used.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
someone
it's
traffics
there.
a child 14 or under, that's a life sentence. I've only seen one prosecutor use that, and she did great, and then boom, they moved her.
That should be worldwide. That should be a
Well,
worldwide thing.
there are laws and all that protect them.
It's illegal globally. There's another part of the law in the United States and Texas and all the other states. If someone dies due to the trafficking, not murdered, but they die, and I just told you I had 4 that died that I helped, and later the trauma overcame them. If they die due to the trafficking, it's a capital crime. I've not once seen that used, and I've got multiple cases where it could be used.
Yeah. They don't
You know
use
why?
the
You
law.
know why? In my opinion, we haven't seen it used because those higher ups are part of it.
Yes.
You know what I
Once
mean?
you open that
Perfect
door,
example.
yeah.
First time I went to Canada back in 2010. I'm walking around and you see a lot of kids with grown men.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, cool, these parents love their kids. Come to find out, did you know in Canada, 14, the age of 14 is you're old enough to give consent?
Oh, and let me harp on that just a bit. Consent to having sex is not the same as commercial. So if anything of value is exchanged, that needs to be done in.
Prosecuted.
And people confuse those two things. Rolling around in the backseat with your boyfriend is not the same as selling your body for sex. We don't allow children to do that. And so it's always the adult's fault in that situation. And there is laws, which I'm screaming, please use them. If those are used overwhelmingly, Canada, I don't know their laws, but I know they had an effort to mirror ours. If it's looked at it that way, that child, it's not about consent, it's about whom sold her or him, then that can be prosecuted. But we need the public to look at it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I am so sorry. I have got to bounce off of here because I'm happily going tomorrow to train law enforcement, and I've got to get on the road to get to my destination tonight because I'm going to train a whole bunch of police tomorrow.
Good job.
With them again.
I was actually just about to end this, so we can end on that note right there.
Hey, Dottie, one advice for get them to drink some coffee and stay awake and listen to every word coming out of your mouth.
I poked them.
But it was definitely an honor to have you guys on here.
Thank you.
We should definitely do it again. We'll do a part 2 in the future. I honestly believe this is something we can do. Never be enough. Doing it never enough. You know what I mean? Like something that can be pushed on a daily basis. So I would definitely love to have you guys. And if we can get more people on the panel, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. You know what I mean? So yo, Joe, man, my guy, I appreciate you, man, for real, for putting this together. This was really dope. To everyone watching, we appreciate you guys. Yo, Dusty, I see you here in the comments. Appreciate you. Al, appreciate you. Big appreciate you. This is dope. In saying that, this is your boy Reckless Talk with the Reckless Talk Podcast, Reckless Talk Sports Podcast, Reckless Talk Management and Promotions, A1 Music Empire, 1836 Entertainment, Houston City Beat. We are the storytellers of Houston. We've been live on YouTube, Music, and Facebook. So if you've been rocking with us on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. If you've been rocking with us on Facebook, hit the love button, comment, share. Let's get this news out there. And if you've been rocking with us on YouTube Music, truly appreciate you guys. my podcast goes where you go. Big shout out to our sponsors, Otto's Root Beer, the greatest root beer on earth, brewed in Huntsville, Texas by Brew Nation. Old school family recipe from the 1950s. Always support local. Also, J-Rack Distribution and LLC. And the greatest burgers on earth, Smash Wagon out of Beaumont, Texas. Congratulations to you guys for opening up your very first restaurant. And of course, we have Hoodlum Nature Records. In saying that, everyone watching, go ahead and share this episode. Share. Let's get this important information out there. It's all about saving our children. In saying that, we truly appreciate you guys. Have a